The coin you're looking at right now didn't belong to a king. It didn't sit in a treasury or hang around a general's neck. It passed through the hands of farmers, soldiers, merchants, and mothers buying bread in crowded markets. It was ordinary, unremarkable, and that is exactly what made it so powerful. Because the true strength of any empire is never its armies or its walls. It's the invisible agreement between millions of strangers to trust the same thing. This coin was that agreement, and for over 1,200 years, that agreement held. Then someone decided to test it. Picture the empire at its absolute height, roads cutting through mountains and deserts, connecting cities that would have seemed impossibly distant to anyone born outside its borders. Armies stationed at the edges of the known world, disciplined and paid on time. Grain flowing from fertile provinces to crowded capitals. Every piece of this machine worked because money moved reliably through it. The currency was stable. Merchants could plan 5 years ahead. Farmers knew what their harvest was worth. Soldiers trusted their wages would arrive. This wasn't just prosperity, it was predictability. And predictability for a civilization is everything. Lose it, and nothing else holds. The decision didn't come from greed alone. It came from pressure. Wars on multiple fronts. A military that kept growing because the borders kept needing defending. Bureaucracy expanding to manage an empire too large for any one set of hands. The treasury was stretched, and the people in charge needed more money than they actually had. So they did something quiet. They took the coins, melted them down, mixed in cheaper metals, copper, lead, whatever reduced the cost, and minted them back at the same face value. Same size, same markings, but less silver inside. Just a little. At first. The merchants noticed first, the way merchants always do. Prices started rising, not dramatically, not all at once, but enough that experienced traders began adjusting. They demanded more coins for the same goods. The government, facing rising costs and falling purchasing power, minted more coins to compensate. Prices rose again. More coins were minted. This is the loop that destroys economies, and once it starts, stopping it requires a kind of political courage that is almost impossible to summon in a crisis. Every step that made things worse felt in the moment like the only available option. That is what makes it a trap. An army runs on belief as much as it runs on steel. Soldiers fight when they trust their commanders, trust their cause, and trust that their wages will feed their families. When the coin in a soldier's hand stopped buying what it used to buy, something shifted that no general could fix with a speech. Legions began demanding payment in grain instead of currency. Provincial governors started hoarding silver. Trade routes that had hummed for centuries went quiet. The empire was still standing, its walls intact, its flag still flying, but the invisible structure beneath it was already gone. Nobody had announced the collapse. It was just happening. The empire did not fall on a single afternoon. There was no final battle where someone looked around and said, "This is it, it's over." It dissolved. Slowly, then faster, the way trust always dissolves once enough people stop believing at the same time. Provinces stopped sending taxes. Soldiers stopped following orders from a capital that couldn't pay them. Merchants rerouted their trade to places that still offered stable exchange. What had taken 1,200 years to build came apart not because an enemy was stronger, but because the shared agreement at its foundation had been quietly, incrementally, fatally broken, one debased coin at a time. So the next time someone tells you that empires fall because of war, or invasion, or weak leadership, remember this coin. Remember that the most dangerous collapses in history don't announce themselves. They don't arrive with drums and fire. They arrive quietly in the small decisions made by people who were sure they could manage just a little more damage without anyone noticing. The Roman Empire, 1,200 years of the most sophisticated civilization the ancient world had ever produced, was not defeated by its enemies. It was hollowed out from the inside, coin by coin, promise by promise, until the shell finally gave way. And here is the part that should keep you up at night. This has happened before Rome. It happened after Rome. It is happening right now, somewhere in the world, to someone who is absolutely certain their system is too big, too established, too deeply rooted to ever come apart the way it did for everyone else. The details change, the mechanism never does. Reduce the value of what people trust, do it slowly enough that no single moment feels like a crisis, then watch what follows. If that made you think, if somewhere in this video something clicked that didn't click before, then you already know what to do. Subscribe, because this channel exists for exactly this kind of history. The stories that don't make it into textbooks, the mechanisms hiding underneath the surface of events that everyone thinks they already understand. There is so much more where this came from, and every single video is built the same way. Find the real reason, strip away the myth, and show you what actually